Welcome back to the WKAN Morning Show. I'm Bill Yonka.
And I'm Allison Beasley, and we're joined by Dr. Stephen Case from Olivet Nazarene University. Stephen, hello.
Good morning.
Great to have you here, and excited about the seasons are changing, and the solstice.
That's
is,
right.
Is the what does that mean?
Right. So that is when, from our point of view, it's when the sun is highest in the sky, when the days are longest, or the longest day of the year. And for our seasons, it's the first day of summer.
Okay.
Yep.
So that this year is falling on.
It's the full moon lines up with the summer solstice.
Well, this is kind of rare.
It's fairly rare. Yeah, every about 15 years or so.
So the full moon lining up with the solstice. So it's the same day, the
Right.
same
So
night.
the shortest night of the year, the longest day, the shortest night of the year, will have a full moon that night.
Wow.
Okay.
Kinda neat.
So now, were these things, when they first started tracking these things years and years ago, would this be cause for some kind of special celebration, you think, or was it?
Yeah, probably. I mean, the solstices were usually celebrated, the equinoxes, things like that. I think it's sort of interesting because we have two main sort of cycles happening in the sky, right? We've got what the sun's doing every year, and that's what we build our calendar around. And then we've got the monthly cycle of the moon, and usually those two things don't line up at all.
Yeah. It's like my home computer and my email that I get on my phone. Like they're not
synced.
They don't sync very often. They don't match up all the time.
Are they supposed to?
Maybe.
And every 15 years
Every
or so,
15
they do.
years
You're like,
they
oh
do.
wait, I got an email.
I got an email working. The whole system.
Something happened.
The stars aligned. So that is an interesting little phenomenon.
And that is what, next week?
June 20th.
June 20th. Okay.
Right.
So that's next Monday. Longest night of the year, shortest day of the year.
No.
Flip
Shortest,
that.
exactly. Shortest night,
day-
longest day.
Longest day, shortest night.
Right.
So everything after that, the days get shorter.
Days
It's
start
shorter.
getting shorter, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's our first day of summer.
First day of summer. Well, it's the first day of summer technically, but it feels like summer's been here
true.
before.
Yeah. It's going to be 93 degrees today. So
I would say summer's here
yes.
unofficially.
So what else is trending in the world of outer space?
The world of outer space. Well, we have three visible planets in the night sky.
Okay.
Really easy to see. Jupiter's still really prominent right after sunset. It's getting a little bit lower in the west. And in the southern sky, we've got Saturn and Mars, sort of low in the southern sky, right about overhead about midnight. Really neat to look at. Mars was at its closest approach to Earth in a couple years at the beginning of May.
Okay.
So you couldn't really see anything with your naked eye, but through a telescope it looked bigger than normal.
So these can you see ones in the sky now?
Yes.
Naked eye?
Yes,
Okay.
Jupiter, Mars, Saturn.
Okay,
all
you
visible
can.
in the evening sky.
Now, can you see those in town? I know when I drive out into the country, it's like, oh my goodness, there are stars here. And even when you go really out into national parks and things like that, where you're really away from all that light pollution,
Right.
you see things so much better.
Yeah, there was actually a study that just came out that said now 1 in 3 people can't see the Milky Way from where they live. Maybe it was something like 1 in 3 people have never seen the Milky Way or
Oh,
something
wow.
like that because the skies are so light polluted.
Wow.
The planets are very bright though, so what's nice about observing the planets is you'll notice them from in town. They're going to be brighter than any of the stars in the sky. Sometimes you notice them kind of as the sun is going down before any of the other stars come out.
The planets are very
The
bright.
planets are very bright.
Their parents appreciate you saying that about them.
Oh, we think so too.
At the planetarium, what do you have going these days?
So this month we're doing our Sesame Street show, which
Okay.
is always really exciting for kids. We showed that last weekend, and we'll show it again, I believe, the weekend of the 25th. So not this coming weekend, but the weekend after. Next month we do our We Are Aliens show, which is really neat, narrated by, what's his name? He's the guy who did Ron Weasley and Harry Potter. It's a really neat show. Looks at the search for life in the universe. And then we're really excited because in August we're premiering a brand new show about the search for dark matter.
Okay.
Ooh. Cool.
All ages.
All ages, yeah. All the shows are good for all ages. The dark matter show is, it might be over the heads of some of the younger kids, but it's a good sort of meaty science show. You know?
And you should be doing some of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, stretching people's, information and getting them outside their comfort zone a little bit.
That's right. Well, Stephen, you wear a lot of hats, and you were just at the Fantasy Con at the Kankakee Public Library just a couple of weeks ago. Tell us a little bit about your books. I know we've talked about them on the show before, but I'd like to talk about have a little
sure.
literature talk.
Yeah, well, FantasyCon was great. I mean, thanks to the public library and everyone that's involved in setting that up, because that's so much fun.
It is a lot of fun.
And yeah, what about? So I had two of my books there. I had the book that we've talked about before, my novel, my science fiction novel, First Fleet. And then for FantasyCon, I had put together a few years ago. I compiled a bunch of my published short stories. These are short stories that have been published in different magazines. I can say all over the world.
Just published in different magazines all over the world. You know.
Australia and Canada and Poland, very randomly enough. But so I collected them all into one sort of edition, and I had that collection available as well.
So how does one go about getting short stories published in magazines throughout the world?
By getting lots and lots and lots of rejections.
Yeah.
by you just being consistent about it.
Yeah, you look.
So
for
you're sending them out.
Oh yeah, yep. I've been for several years now. If I've got a short story, I look at what markets are buying short stories, usually science fiction and fantasy. And I send them to the sort of the top markets, and then wait for the rejections, and then send it to the next market, and eventually you get lucky.
What country is science fiction and fantasy really hot in? Is U.S.
The most markets are here in the U.S.
In the
Yeah,
US, okay.
There's a few in Canada, Australia, and primarily the English markets are the ones that I'm obviously.
Of course, yes. Has your work been translated in other languages?
It was one of my stories that was published here in the U.S. was picked up by a Polish science fiction and fantasy magazine.
It was translated into Polish.
Yes.
And you did that yourself?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I can only hope it was a good translation. I have no idea.
You really don't know.
No. We're talking to Dr. Stephen Case, who straddles the worlds of his bicycle and his the world of hard science and the fantasy world of science fiction in his writing. So it's pretty great to have you here. So.
Thanks.
What's next, though, for writing? What are you going to do? Is there another...
Well, this summer, my big project is I'm working on a book that is based on my dissertation. And
Okay.
That will be published by an academic press, hopefully next year.
Okay, so you gotta switch back.
That's right.
You gotta switch. You're using a whole different place in your mind.
You got to
maybe.
stop making stuff up.
You
Right?
gotta stop making the stuff up. That's
not so much of the fiction and more of the science.
More of the science in this
Right.
part.
Right.
And I noticed, too, I was just flipping through a recent ONU publication, and you wrote a whole piece in there about ONU and science and...
Yeah, they asked me to write a piece on, this is the latest issue of Olivet, the magazine, write a piece on the liberal arts.
Yeah,
sort of
and the
liberal
value
arts
of that.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And I think sometimes I know something that Allison and I, we're kind of big believers in that, hey, you're better off when you learn about a lot of different things.
Absolutely.
You can be cynical and say, well, I'm never going to use this. Where am I going to have a job that, is English literature? Well, probably not, but you're a better person for learning it.
Or you could be like Dr. Case and learn a lot about a lot of things. So we just know a little about a lot of things.
People change their careers change their jobs so many times in their careers, and what we're finding from even employees is that, the employees say, we can teach you the skills. We can teach you the skills for this job. But what you need to know is you need to know how to think. You need to know how to learn on your own. You need all those critical thinking tools that you really get through not sort of training for one specific job, but through a liberal arts education.
And, learning how to think and how to problem solve, but also how to work with other people.
Absolutely.
And communicate effectively with other people as well.
That's what I tell my science students. If you don't know how to write, I mean, you can be a great scientist, but if you can't communicate those thoughts and those ideas, you're going to have to write for the public. You're going to have to write for grants. You're going to have to write for your
way more than
supervisors.
you ever think you will.
Absolutely.
Isn't that I always say that too when I'm doing and I have an intern or I'm talking to students in schools. Like, writing is, I think, the biggest piece. Even if you think you don't like writing, you still should write.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you don't like it.
even just crafting a well-crafted email, something as simple as that. If you can come across better than I am right now, where you can speak very well.
That whole
I'm great in email.
Communicate that thing.
Oh, we're talking with Dr. Stephen Case from Olivet Nazarene University, and this is you do have you wear a lot of hats. We just had the bike races in Riverview, and I know that you are an avid bicyclist, and this is kind of a fun time of the year for you as a bicyclist.
Yeah,
I don't know if this is the most fun time, is it?
It's kind of hot. I mean, I haven't done the bike races or any sort of cross country thing. I'm definitely just a bike commuter.
You're a bike
back
commuter.
and forth from work, yeah.
Okay.
And I like it.
Yeah, yeah. And you're wearing bicycle shorts right now.
I'm wearing bicycle shorts right
A lot of Lycra.
Mm-hmm. But I think it really does. And when you think about things from a mind perspective and thinking of how you approach your days, biking, I would imagine, and the days I've biked more, I feel like my brain is in a different sort of place, having seen everything, and you feel like you've lived it more on your experience going to and from places rather than just kind of clocking in.
Yeah, I think so. I know whenever I do have to drive and I go down Kennedy, like I can tell there's much more stress, right?
Yeah.
In the commute. And I found you kind of get addicted to it, sort of maybe the way you get addicted to a cup of coffee. Like I need that kind of quiet ride in the morning to kind of get in that frame of mind for work. And then coming home, it's kind of the same way. It's a time to sort of unwind from the day. And I've just found that I really like it.
More plugged into your surroundings and more plugged into nature and
listening,
hearing the sounds and
drivers that honk at you and yell at you. And things like that. Yeah.
The cat calls, I would imagine you get. Now you met Stephen's wife the other day.
Well, yeah.
Well, you've not, but you met her in a
social
setting. And did you guys talk about Lycra?
We did, I don't think we really discussed it too much.
Was she surprised that he
wore that outfit in here? No,
yeah,
I don't think she
wasn't surprised. Okay,
no.
All right.
I think she's used to that.
She gets it.
I've got my work clothes at work.
Yeah. Good. Well, we're thank you so much for being here, and keep in mind
June 20th.
June 20th.
Next Monday.
Yeah. And look for our advertisements in August because we got that dark matter show. I think is going to be really neat.
Yeah, at the Planetarium.
Yep.
Jumping around the different hats. And what time of day can you see those planets?
So the planets are in the early evening. Right after the sun sets, evening.
Speaking of fun family activities like the Planetarium, thrills, we have our trivia time question. Going to be related to that coming up after this. Here on AM 1320 WKAN, Dr. Stephen Case. Thanks so much.
Thank you.